Volvo's second generation XC90 is a 7-seat luxury SUV that has given key rivals like Audi's Q7 and the Land Rover Discovery a lot to think about. Safe, efficient, clever, practical and stylish, it has re-established this Swedish maker as a credibly prestigious automotive brand. This significantly revised version offers slightly smarter styling and a more up-to-date cabin. It's well worth a look.
This further improved version of the second generation Volvo XC90 aims to make the most of its sleek Swedish design values. Here we're going to take a closer look. In well over 2 decades on sale, Volvo's XC90 has created a niche for itself that rivals have struggled to penetrate. It's never been particularly sporty or SUV-like. Instead, its cool, laid-back Swedish vibe hit the perfect note with many families who weren't bothered about those two extremes in choosing their big 7-seat crossover. So much so that the original Mark I model hung around for absolutely ages, launched in 2002 and sold right up to 2014. This Mark II version could have an even longer production run. Originally launched in 2015 and then updated in 2019, you might think a full replacement would be on the cards by now, but even with huge Chinese Geely backing, Volvo simply doesn't have the funds to deliver that at the same time as developing similarly sized full EV models like the EX90. So what we've got instead is another light second generation XC90 update, which has brought a sharper look and updated cabin screen tech. Will it all be enough, though, to keep this Mark II model current? Well, you can find out more by downloading the Car and Driving app, and here by watching the industry's most comprehensive review, the Car and Driving Road Test. It's hard not to have a mild feeling of ecological insecurity these days about driving a large luxury SUV. But in recent times, the brands who make them have done much to advance the efficiency of their products. Various types of electrification are now the norm in this segment. And since the last time we filmed this XC90, at the time of its first facelift back in 2019, diesel power, which used to almost completely sustain this model line, has been banished. Even adding mild hybrid tech to the old 2-litre diesel unit wasn't enough to save it. Mild hybrid tech is retained for the mainstream B5 petrol version of this model, which mates the usual 2-litre 4-cylinder Volvo engine with a 48-volt battery, a KERS kinetic energy recovery system, and an ISG, an integrated starter generator. This all-wheel drive setup puts out 250 horsepower with 360 Nm of torque, and 62 from rest occupies 7.7 seconds en route to the 112 miles an hour top speed that all Volvos share. In a B5 XC90, every time you brake or take your foot off the throttle, the KERS setup captures surplus energy and stores it as electricity in an extra battery provided in the boot. That additional electricity can be used to boost acceleration, help the stop-start system, or power ancillary functions. The objective here wasn't to provide Prius-like periods of electric-only driving, but instead to make the engine more efficient via smoother transitions between driving, cruising and resting. That's all been aided by revisions to the automatic gearbox and by the implementation of the brand's first brake-by-wire system. As usual with an XC90, the alternative is the brand's rather sophisticated T8 plug-in hybrid powertrain, which is what we're trying here. As before, this T8 engine is both turbocharged and supercharged, and it combines 310 horsepower of engine output with a 145 horsepower electric motor to deliver a total 455 horsepower output with a thumping 709 Nm of torque. This allows 62 to be dispatched in just 5.4 seconds, although the 2,295 kilo curb weight rather blunts the urgency of that performance. We had hoped for a bigger PHEV battery as part of this update in order to give this T8 an EV drive range closer to plug-in hybrid rivals in this segment from Mercedes and BMW. But the same 18.8 kilowatt-hour lithium-ion battery pack remains, offering up to 44.1 miles of EA/ER rated pure electric driving range when it's fully charged. In this T8 there are 5 drive modes: hybrid, power, pure, off-road and all-wheel drive. Across the XC90 range, there are no changes to the handling dynamics as part of this update, apart from a set of tweaks which have been made to soften the passive suspension setup. Few customers will actually appreciate that because above base trim, that setup's been ditched in favour of the far superior active 4C chassis package. That gives you 4 corner adaptive dampers and electronic air suspension. We'd say that this setup is almost a must-have with the XC90. It noticeably improves ride quality and it complements excellent cruising refinement too, which easily meets the required executive standard despite this Volvo's use of 4 cylinders in a segment where 6 cylinders really are the norm. A standard pilot assist system offers a degree of highway-orientated autonomous driving technology. Hardly anyone is going to be throwing a car like this around, but customers won't want a luxury SUV of this kind to feel ponderous either. This one really doesn't, and that's thanks to its neat balance between comfort and agility, and that's aided by Volvo's light, stiff, scalable product architecture platform. It can't match a Cayenne or an X5 across twistier tarmac, but then you really wouldn't expect it to, and grip and traction are pretty good. The steering isn't very feelsome though, whichever of the 2 modes, soft or firm, you select. There is the potential for a mild amount of off-road prowess, but obviously your off-piste ambitions are going to be limited here by the 231mm ride height, and this T8 model won't even be able to wade through water if it goes above the bottom of the sills. More importantly perhaps, towing capacity for both variants is rated at 2.4 tonnes. Not too many exterior changes have been made to this further revised version of the 2nd generation XC90. Not too many were really necessary, thanks to styling which original designer Anders Gunnarsson described as timeless. The shape, although it is substantial, is cleverly proportioned to look as compact as possible. So many large luxury SUVs appear bulky and intimidating, but this really isn't one of them. But it has been cleverly evolved. Now, if you're familiar with this 2nd generation XC90, you'll immediately spot the revised front end of this updated model, which features a smarter grille flanked by redesigned Thor's Hammer LED headlights. In addition, there's also a more sculpted bonnet, revised front wings, and a cleaner, simpler, lower front bumper. Move to the side and the update changes are less obvious, but an existing owner might note the smarter wheel designs. Sizes now range between 20 and 22 inches. We've got the 21-inch rims here. On this T8 variant, there's a fresh look for the charging port too. In profile, this XC90 continues to look resolutely practical and unsporty, yet it still manages a sense of purpose thanks to the strong upper shoulder line and the prominent lower crease too that gives the flank some shape. It's still a substantially sized thing, 4,953 mils in length, although that's a bit shorter than either an Audi Q7 or a Land Rover Discovery. Move to the rear and there's a look that, if you know your luxury SUVs, could only belong to an XC90 thanks to these 3D tail lights, darkened now as part of this further update. These emphasise the distinctive body shoulder line and they border the tailgate, flowing up into this smart roof mounted spoiler. The most important updates though lie inside. This Volvo's cabin has long been one of the finest out there. It still is. As for what's different here, well, get comfortable behind the wheel, and the biggest change you'll notice will be the more horizontal design of this totally revised dashboard, which now incorporates a new central touchscreen. This has grown from 9 to 11.2 inches in size. It's more responsive, it's higher resolution, and it borrows its Google automotive software from the system used in the EX90, enabling over-the-air updates. There's an easier to access screen operating system too. In addition, the center console has been redesigned too and now features a 2+1 cup holder with room for an extra slim drinks can. Plus there's a new wireless smartphone charger which is more conveniently accessible. The ambient lighting system and the 360-degree camera system have both been enhanced as well. We liked the front of cabin experience which was served up by this second generation XC90 when we first tested it back in 2015 and then again in 2019. We still do. It really is very nice indeed. Originally the work of British designer Robin Page, who created a cabin which is simple and elegant and very uncluttered. You sit quite high with a commanding view ahead, and the wide front seats are superbly supportive. Most models get these lovely ash interior inlays, and if you can stretch up towards the top of the range, you'll get this hide-stitched fascia, a Napa leather upholstery, and what is possibly the best audio system in the whole SUV segment, this 18-speaker 1400 watt Bowers & Wilkins setup. You'll feel very pleased indeed. Most models get this eye-catching Auraforce crystal gear knob, but only this very priciest variant gets a head-up display. Both these features are carried over from before, as is the 12.3-inch progressive driver display. It can display in minimalist or nav map embellished forms, and on this T8 version, if you select either the pure or hybrid drive modes, the right-hand virtual dial switches from being a rev counter into an ecometer display. That's neat, but overall you'd have to say that this screen setup isn't quite as customizable as you'll find elsewhere in the segment. But what about this cabin's major update, the bigger Android Automotive central screen? Well, it's not as well integrated into the fascia as the old smaller Sensus monitor was. It's now a bit more like a glued-on tablet, but the continuing portrait format works well, allows you to easily reach all four corners of the display without too much of a stretch. There's Google Assistant voice control here, and the on-screen buttons are properly large, so you could theoretically use them with a gloved hand. And there are fixed shortcuts to key vehicle controls and also your most frequently used apps. Inevitably, given the operating system, Android phone users will be more comfortable with this interface than Apple folk will be. They have to have a wide connection for Apple CarPlay, and Android Auto do too. Physical buttons sit outside this touchscreen for key functions, but unfortunately the screen controls virtually all the climate features. If you have a Google account, you can log in and access previously stored destinations on other devices and use the Google Play Store to download car-friendly Android apps like Spotify. As for interior practicality, well, you'll be storing most of your odds and ends either in this reasonably sized electronically operating glove box or in the leather-lidded storage box here between the seats, which incorporates a couple of USB ports. Ahead of that, this smart sliding cover conceals a couple of cup holders, a small tray and a 12-volt port. There's also a wireless charging mat just ahead of the gear lever, a cubby by the driver's right knee, and ticket clips on both vanity mirrors. It is a pity though that the door pockets are so relatively small and that there's no overhead compartment for your sunglasses. Right, time to take a seat in the second row. As usual with an XC90, middle row passengers are well catered for with individual seats which slide and recline for greater comfort on longer journeys. 3 adults could just about sit side by side, although the centre occupant has to put up with a narrower seat and this prominent central tunnel. Most models get this huge panoramic glass roof, and plusher ones get integrated rear door sun curtains too. On longer trips, you'll appreciate the incorporated B-pillar vents, the bright LED overhead reading lights, and this neatly designed and beautifully stitched central armrest. It incorporates a pair of small pop-up cup holders, plus beverages can sit in the provided moulded recesses in the little door bins. There are also seat back nets and coin recesses in the door armrests. The transmission tunnel here is thoughtfully covered with a rubberized coating, which will be easy to clean. Just above that are digital climate controls and twin USB-C ports. Right, what about the third row? Well, as before, and as usually in this class, getting to it takes a bit of muscular dexterity. So, if you've tried the very rearmost pews in an XC90 before, then you'll know that as an adult, you'll only be able to install yourself here with any kind of comfort if you prevail upon those ahead of you to move their seats forward a little. The chairs themselves are exactly the same as those in the middle, so you're not fobbed off with a kind of fold-out occasional seats that you do get in some competitors. And these seats can accommodate an adult of up to 170 centimetres tall. The two chairs back here are positioned in so-called theatre style, so slightly raised and set inwards to offer a better view in your direction of travel. Each seat also gets its own cup holder and trinket tray. There are C-pillar vents, a storage tray between the two chairs, and even ceiling speakers, but there are no USB ports. Finally, let's take a look at luggage space. It's accessed via an electrically powered tailgate. You can operate either by the boot button from the key fob, or if you happen to be approaching the car laden down with bags, you can even do it by waving your foot beneath the bumper. It rises to reveal a luggage area which you access via a rather high loading lip, although models with air suspension offer a neat set of buttons which will lower this by 50mm. Inevitably, capacity is going to be a bit restricted with all 7 seats in place, although even in this configuration, there's 244 litres of luggage space in this T8 PHEV model, or 247 if you opt for the B5 mild hybrid version. Enough for 2 large pushchairs or 10 carry-on suitcases. Plus, you get compartment areas in the side cargo walls, a 12-volt socket, retractable shopping bag hooks, 4 silver tie-down points, and an underfloor compartment which is rather compromised in size on this T8 model. There's also this useful flap which opens on the boot floor to stop items sliding around, and which can be closed to place slim items away from prying eyes or to keep muddy boot marks out of sight and out of mind. Most of the time though, of course, you will probably be running this car with those third row chairs folded down. Now, unlike in a Q7 or a Discovery, the folding process isn't power operated, but it's easy to do, as you can see, with one hand. Flattening these rearmost seats in the T8 model frees up 650 litres of space to the window line, or 653 litres with the B5. Either way, you can improve on the figures we've quoted by sliding the second row seats forward if you have uncomplaining middle row passengers on board, or by making the second row seat backs rather more upright. Getting more room, of course, means folding the middle row. On this T8 model, that frees up 1,130 litres up to the window line. It's 1,139 in the B5. All those figures are very class competitive. All XC90 variants still come with 7 seats, automatic transmission and all-wheel drive, and as we filmed in summer 2025, prices were starting from around £65,500 for the 250 horsepower mild hybrid B5 petrol model. There's a choice of 3 core trim levels: Core, Plus, or as in this case, Ultra. And as we told you elsewhere in the film, there are only 2 drivetrains on offer, both petrol powered: the B5 mild hybrid and the T8 plug-in hybrid. As for rivals, well, it's now hard to find a direct match for this XC90. Land Rover Discovery has a starting price about the same as an XC90 B5, but that car's only available in diesel form, as are mainstream versions of Land Rover's Defender 110, which started from around £62,000 at the time of this test. Audi's Q7 seems at first glance a closer match, but the standard 55 TFSI petrol Q7 has a lot more power, 340 PS, than a comparable XC90 B5, and costs over £6,000 more. The Q7 isn't a proper match for this Volvo in PHEV form either, because the Audi can't offer 7 seats. Other models in the segment you might usually turn to the BMW X5, the Mercedes GLE, Porsche's Cayenne, the Jeep Grand Cherokee and the Volkswagen Touareg. They will all be discounted by most XC90 customers because they only have 5 seats as well. So in the search for alternatives, you might end up having to look at larger upper spec versions of mainstream brand models instead, which really compete in the class below. I'm talking about here cars like the Mazda CX-80, Kia Sorento and the Hyundai Santa Fe. So there is now nothing quite like an XC90. If that's your conclusion too after looking at those alternatives, then you're going to need to know just how generous Volvo's been here with the standard specs. So let's take a look at that right now. All XC90s come with wheels at least 20 inches in size and have matrix LED headlights, roof rails, front and rear parking sensors, auto headlamps and wipers, a power-operated tailgate, keyless entry, a heated windscreen and an anti-theft alarm. Driving stuff includes the brand's Pilot Assist semi-autonomous drive system, adaptive cruise control 2, hill descent control and drive mode settings with adjustable steering force. Inside on mainstream XC90s there's quilted Nordico upholstery and all versions get powered heated front seats with lumbar support and memory settings, plus heated rear seats too. You can also tick off electronic climate control with third row air conditioning, an auto dimming interior mirror, heat for the front seats and the steering wheel, a wireless charging mat, a rear view camera and a 12.3-inch progressive drive display for the instruments. The other key cabin screen is the 11.2-inch center console touchscreen, and this is your access point to this car's clever Google Automotive Services enabled infotainment system. From here or via voice control you can access a 10-speaker 220 watt high performance sound system with DAB digital radio, plus there's navigation with Google Maps, unlimited mobile data for 4 years and a whole host of internet based products and services, plus as you'd expect phone mirroring, although the Apple CarPlay system is only of the wired kind. As before, all XC90 owners get free use of the brand's Volvo On Call app too. Most XC90 customers upgrade from base core trim. Mid-range plus spec gets you the brand's active 4C chassis, and that means adaptive dampers and electronic air suspension. And at this level too, you also get a panoramic sliding roof, a 360-degree surround view parking camera system, an Oriforce crystal gear knob, ash cabin inlays, and a 13-speaker Harman Kardon 600-watt sound system with Dolby Pro Logic 2 surround sound. A Plus Pro trim upgrade to this adds larger 21-inch wheels, rear privacy glass, Nappa leather upholstery and both ventilation and powered side supports for the front seats. Beyond that, there's only this top Ultra variant. This adds a head-up display, massaging front seats, laminated side and rear windows, integrated rear door sun curtains and Volvo's choicest audio upgrade. This is an 18-speaker Bowers & Wilkins setup with 1400 watts of output. If you want to buy in further down the range, many of the plush model features can be added on as individual options, and on all models you can of course add a retractable tow bar. And with this top ultra spec you can add even bigger 22-inch wheels. As usual in this segment, you can also add roof crossbars, side running boards, a load compartment mat, mud flaps and pet accessories. Do remember though that unless you opt for the only standard colour in the range, metallic vapor grey, on your XC90 you'll be paying Volvo more for your choice of paint shade too. On to safety. Now here is an extraordinary statistic. Since the Volvo XC90 went on sale in the UK back in 2002, not a single person has been killed while driving one, nor has any passenger been killed in an XC90 accident. It is, quite simply, according to official government statistics, the safest car on the road. Today, the company continues these safety ambitions with the most daring and far-reaching safety objective in the whole industry, that no one should ever be killed or seriously injured in a new Volvo. Now, meeting that objective means the need for a whole new safety standard, of course, and sure enough, there is an exhaustive list of standard kit to keep you safe. Emergency brake assist combines with a city safety with steering support system, which includes pedestrian and cyclist detection, front collision warning too, with full auto brake and rear auto brake. Another system is the auto braking feature, which cuts in if a driver pulls out in front of oncoming traffic. There's also run-off road protection for if you drift onto the verge, oncoming lane mitigation that stops you from dangerously pulling out to overtake, and a lane keeping aid too. Plus, of course, there's usual driver alert, speed alert and traffic sign recognition systems, plus a full complement of airbags, including a driver's knee bag. It is disappointing though that there are just 2 ISOFIX child seat fastening points. A rival Audi Q7 has 5. As usual with the brand, the front seat frames have been designed to collapse in a way that will protect your spine from severe damage, while at the same time, Volvo's usual whips protection guards against whiplash on your neck. Volvo recently abandoned plans to go fully electric by 2030, and you can see why. The mild hybrid and PHEV versions of this XC90 offer as much electrification in this segment as many family folk want for the time being. With a mild hybrid B5, the brand claims that the advanced kinetic energy recovery braking system, which was introduced with this revised XC90, offers drivers up to 15% fuel savings and emission reductions in real-world driving. This brake-by-wire system interacts with the energy recovery system and reduces fuel consumption and emissions by recovering kinetic energy under braking. As for the WLTP-rated figures, well, with the B5 petrol version, expect up to 32.8 mpg and up to 193 grams per kilometre of CO2. The efficiency figures for this T8 plug-in hybrid model see it deliver up to 30 grams per kilometre of CO2, 235.1 mpg on the combined cycle, and up to 44.1 EAER rated miles of pure electric driving range. That is some way off what you get with rival PHEV versions of the BMW X5 and the Mercedes GLE, but they are only 5-seaters, and this Volvo's PHEV range figure is at least enough to mean that theoretically you could use it every day without ever visiting a fuel station, unless of course you needed to undertake a longer trip. That's assuming of course that you keep the lithium-ion battery fully charged up. Owners can buy a wall box from Volvo, which will charge their cars on 16 amp power in about 3 hours, but with 6.4 kilowatt charging, and a typical home wall box, you're looking at about 5 hours for a full charge from empty. Connecting up to a normal domestic 3-pin 6 amp supply, that is going to take you 8 hours. Ultimately, to justify this T8 model's substantial £9,000 price premium over the conventionally engined B5 mild hybrid variant, you're really going to have to try to plug it in at every opportunity. Otherwise, you'll simply find yourself running a heavy petrol-powered SUV. Although a decently combined driving range should be possible from the 71-litre fuel tank that all XC90s now share. If on the move you want to prioritise all-electric progress, you can select a pure driving mode which prioritises electric-only operation and would be useful in an urban environment, for example. In everyday use though, most T8 owners will be driving in the hybrid mode that the car's powertrain automatically defaults to. That's a setting in which the vehicle will automatically alternate between petrol and electric power. While we can't imagine any XC90 XC90 T8 owner ever actually achieving the brand's officially quoted returns. The important thing is that the government believes them, so business users will be able to write down as much as 100% of the cost of this car against their tax liability. And a 40% taxpayer could be driving an XC90 T8 while incurring a 9% BIK tax bill, which is way below the 37% figure that's applied to the alternative B5 model. Maintenance should be relatively affordable for a car of this kind, with intervals every year or 18,000 miles. 3 or 5 year servicing plans, prepaid ones, are available to help you budget ahead. The warranty is the usual 3-year 60,000 mile package. Insurance is rated at Group 36 for the B5 version. Insurance for this T8 PHEV is rated at Group 41. Depreciation after 3 years and 36,000 miles is predicted at between 47 and 53%. Now, because the asking price is over £40,000, this XC90 is subject to a £425 vehicle excise duty surcharge of £620 a year between years 2 and 6 of ownership. It's £195 a year after that. This XC90 is aging impressively well. You would expect that after a decade on sale, it would be feeling a bit yesteryear compared to key rivals. The fact that it's not is a tribute to the fundamental completeness of this Mark II model's original design. Volvo hasn't really done much to it as part of the second update, but all that really needed improving was the cabin screen tech, and that is now noticeably better. We would like to have seen an enhancement in this T8 PHEV model's EV driving range too, but that doesn't matter so much because the only segment rivals which can better it can't offer 7 seats. Of course, this Volvo isn't perfect. There are still sharper handling choices and more capable off-roaders in this sector. In balancing these virtues though, this XC90 sets its own class standard, and in doing that continues to establish a family benchmark amongst luxury SUVs that rivals struggle to match. Company founders Assar Gabrielsen and Gustav Larsson would have liked this car. More importantly though, if you're shopping in this sector, we think you will too.